up? Welcome to the War Room, boys and girls.
Freaking winning on Wednesday. How y'all doing today, folks? Right here, Mike Doc Ranigan. We got our boy Casey Ashmore, and always present, Jeff Skinner. We got a special guest in the house, JD, at his Paris bunker.
I like that.
And I promise you that ain't Paris, France. That is Paris, Texas. The whole town is a bunker. So as you guys know how we like to start this program off, we like to round robin our wins that we had from last week. So we're going to start with KC, and tell us about some of your personal best and your business best that you got going on, and let's share it with us.
So one, I love that this has been a new addition, that we do this every week, because it does make you take a moment to reflect. So Wednesday wins personal. Took a real short but critical needed vacation, and got to do some exploring with my boys on the Mayan Peninsula. Took them to the ruins in Chichen Itza, and it's not as accessible as it was when I was a kid. You could really Indiana Jones that whole fucking compound.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah, it was. It was like they actually finished the last human execution right before I got there.
Yeah.
That's how long ago.
When they put the top on the pyramid?
Yeah, when they pyramid. Man, hey, what's up? You want to take a tour? So, but it was still cool, man. And look, man, you only got 18 summers with each kid. Matt is about to be 9.
Oh, wow.
So I'm, like, this is halftime, motherfucker.
Yeah,
and I'm like, paying attention to it. So that was just a huge win for me on a personal level to be able to do that with my family, with Michael and Jennifer and Matthew. And then, other wins. So first not quite full month, but about 3.5 weeks merged with David Mallard down in Terrell, Texas, and it's just been great, man. It's just been going great. I feel completely blessed. So just on a business win, that is huge.
Yeah.
To have that opportunity, I feel like everything's fired on all cylinders. Thank you for letting me share.
Be careful of that, because that's when the force of beverage likes to attack.
That's right.
So just keep.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. You can't take your foot off the gas.
Exactly.
We're going to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm talking
We got
about.
wins.
Shit, man. Personal, I'm kind of in the same boat. Went to Clearwater, Florida for the last weekend. Really enjoyed it. Really figured out what the red tide was really about. That fucking pushes dead fish on the beach, folks. And we were super sad. I was like, this is not what we came to fucking Clearwater for. This was murky water, Florida. But either way, the quality time with family is huge. Everybody should take full advantage of that and spending time with your wife, kiddos, and whoever your significant other is out there. Business-wise, we were able to install over 460 squares worth of roof.
That's a lot.
Last week.
Wow.
So that's insane. That's 40,000 square feet of roof that was covered.
What's the average home? Roughly?
Average home is about 50 squares.
Wow, that's nice.
So we just straight up, when the rain stopped,
Yeah.
like our hammers went to swinging, and so there were some hiccups, there's some adversity, but don't worry, we fucking pushed through, we adapted, we overcame, and we took massive action on it. And so that's what was it about. We were able to come together as a team, catch each other's back.
Yeah.
All of this while I was in Florida trying to manage fucking chaos all around me. So a blessing to have a great team that really stood up and managed our clients well while I was out. So it's huge for business.
What about you, JD? Give us a business and a personal best, brother.
Well, I turned down my 20th job in the city. I quit taking jobs in the city limits of Paris because the building official sucks. Just to I told the boss I probably won't take a job in the city through the end of the year. I mean, I turned down some pretty big jobs, $10,000 billable, $8,000 billable. I'm like, yeah, I'm not interested. So it's not bad being at a point where you can just say no to that. It's not all about the money. It's like the topic we're going to talk about tonight. It's not worth that suck. It's a different suck, and it's just not worth dealing. Personal, hey, we're planning a family vacation. Fix to take our little 12-year-old out to Carlsbad Caverns, go up to check out the UFOs in what's that? In where's all the damn UFOs out? Area 51.
Roswell.
Roswell, and then we're going to go up in up in the mountains, maybe do some zip line or something. Go spend a week with her at the end of the month for the wife's birthday, and before she goes back to school in the fall. So looking forward to that. Sold a couple cars. Told Mike, sold a couple cars. I'm driving a hoopty truck right now, so just wheeling and dealing whenever I can. If it's the right deal, I'm gonna make it. So.
Yeah.
Grinding. So business best for me is I'm just head down grinding on still grinding away at my schedule, still grinding away at figuring out my time. So every day is a win for me. I'm like, I don't know, 20 something days in to 30-minute increments like we have talked about. So this week will be a month, and then I already have allocated time on Saturday to sit down and revamp my entire schedule. So I am a little excited about doing that. And so that's a win for me, just understanding myself and my business. Personal win, I got, you know what, these guys went on cool vacations. I went to Rowlett this week. It was fucking a night. It was amazing.
Rowlett, Texas.
Oh, man.
Rowlett, Texas.
Personal best, man, is, I'm just grateful, you know what I mean, for just family, business, life, health, my circle, my friends. It just continues to propel me to be a better person every single day. So the more I feel like I work on myself, the more clarity I have to be able to help others. So that's my kind of win right now.
Yeah.
And so that's where we're at. But Doc's going to hit the AC because it's 102 bitches outside today, so we all know that. So we'll jump right into our special guest this evening, JD Mars. He's coming to us from Paris, Texas this evening, remotely located in the bunker there. And I'll just give you a quick little scenario, and then I'm going to hand the floor over to you, JD. He's a Navy veteran, 24 years, has a little bit of background in electronic technician. Spent about 9+ years as an instructor with the SEAL teams, which, if anybody knows anything about that, you want to talk about the level of elite. So for someone to be in a leadership position above that is very, very phenomenal. So graduated, I love saying this one, summa cum laude, 1 of 4 from Texas A&M Commerce. 2012 Charter President of the Year with the National Society of Leadership and Success, Sigma Alpha Pi. And I'm going to let you describe all these big fancy words here. Started doing drug and alcohol business 2012, found a different lane in about 2016, and has just been running and gunning with his drafting business there. Did some stand-up comedy. We definitely have to talk about that right there. So can you tell me real quick a little bit about the stand-up comedy?
Yeah, when I was in college, my wife, when we moved back after I retired, I went back to college. My wife went back to doing hair local. She's a hairstylist. And we advertised with the local comedy club. And it was, you got 2 tickets to each show if you advertised. So we were going to comedy shows all the time. And the comedian's a local guy. He travels nationally as a headliner. And he's like, hey, I'm going to do a comedy boot camp. Anybody interested? I'm like, I've been to boot camp. And, but I was looking at executive MBA programs. One of my best friends is a SEAL that was working at Microsoft making fat money, and he's like, get into EMBA program. I can hire you at $250. You'll make $325 your first year, $400 your second year. And I'm like, all right, let me look into this. And I figured, hey, you know what? I'll do this comedy boot camp because I need to learn clean humor in a business environment. We're all military. We can drop the F-bomb 12 times in a 20-word sentence and make it sound cool because we're used to that. But to be in an executive environment, you can't necessarily do that in a boardroom. So I signed up for a little comedy class, and what I didn't know is at the end we had to do a whole segment on stage, and I had to open up for the Cajun comedy of Queen, or Cajun Queen of Comedy. This lady, it's like your 65-year-old 3-pack a day, non-filtered camel smoking lady.
Nice.
Yeah, no, it was fun. But I did a couple stand-up bits, and he had me MC a couple shows. It's been a couple years, 2 years, 3 years since I MC'd a veterans comedy tour. And it was a horrible crowd, and I crashed and burned. And I just haven't jumped in it because I've been so busy, and it's not my gig. I never went into it as a career choice. It was just kind of fun. And all the ones I did, it was fun, and I enjoyed it, and I got good returns on it. But just something to do. Check it off the bucket list. Yeah, I've done some comedy.
I'm definitely one day going to take my comedy show on the road. I just can't figure out when.
Well,
Sorry.
first you need,
Is it on right now?
Mike, you need to shave that sweater before you go to the beach next time.
Hey, that is part of my routine. That is my beach attire. Okay, like people pay big money for this type of
Nah,
style.
bro. Here's the thing: you want to talk about shaving sweaters? It's like a guy down here over here.
Why hating on the missing link over here?
All I know is it rhymes with KC.
So, it's something cool when I was reading through your bio, JD, is that, there's something some of us can relate to as small business owners, but the fact that you're growing your business right now with little to no money in the marketing. You said in the past 5 years, you guys have become the go-to drafting company in your area. So you kind of taken the market share of that in Paris, Texas. How did you build those relationships? Because I think that's invaluable for other people to know. And we preach on relationships constantly every week. How do you build relationships in your business that allows you to grow organically without spending marketing dollars?
Well, I'm in a niche market. I did drug testing like Mike did. That's an open market as far as there's a ton of businesses that need it. The reason I got out of it is I just got tired of cold calling, and I'm rural. I'm not like big Mike Dallas area where there's just unlimited companies you could go call in. I'm limited in a small town, 25,000, 30,000 person town, 50,000 county. I was driving, it just wasn't worth it. And I got into drafting, and I can draw for the client, and I draw in 3D. I showed y'all my office a little bit ago. I got a 60-inch TV. Clients come in, sit down. Here's your floor plan. I click a button, and it's in 3D. I can take the roof off, show them the inside. Women get to see what their house looks like before it's built. Done. Don't have to advertise that. As soon as they hear, they get to see what it looks like, and it's not just lines on a piece of paper. They're in. But what I did is I started building my relationships with the contractors, with the subcontractors, with the concrete guys, the plumbers, framers, the lumberyard guys, and hey, what do you want on my plan set? What do you want as a product from me to make your job easier?
Yeah.
And the framers are like, hey, could you dimension it this way? Yeah, I don't care how I dimension it. How do you want me to dimension it? You're the dude building the house. And I've had people come in and they'll sit down and they're like, hey, I want to do this. And do I have a construction background? No. My background was electronics and unconventional warfare crap. But I knew enough about that. I have an analytical mind. I'm an electronics guy by trade, so I know blueprints and schematics, and I know how to do that. It was learn the software, start the business. But I went at the approach of the product I'm printing for my client, that's just for that client, and that's it. I'll never see that client again, probably, if it's a single homeowner doing the new home. I started going after the market, the guys that are building the houses. Hey, what do you want? How can I make your life easier? And I mean, I'll print a set of plans, and 2-3 days later, I look at my phone, and if I see who it is calling, I'm like, oh, hey, you need numbers on that on so-and-so's house. Yeah, how'd you know? Because I just printed it. And, I know they're looking at it, and I'll give them the info they need. I've made their life easier. So now anytime somebody's like, hey, where do I get house plans? Oh, you go see JD. And when I got into this, I did my market research. There's 2 guys, they're semi-retired, older guys. So I'm like, there's nobody young doing it. I'm, older than y'all, but relatively young compared to them. There's a drafting instructor at the college. He's really good academically, but he doesn't have a construction background. So hey, there's a lane. I jumped in and I started providing to the guys that are actually using the service. And now they send everybody to me. And, I quit, like I said earlier, I quit taking city jobs. I talked to the previous building official. Me and my biggest competition did the majority of all new construction residential that was permitted in the city. And I think I was probably 2.5 to 3 times the production of him last year. And so, it's like, oh, well, there's a hole now that I left but I've got 32 projects on my board right now. And I'm 20 jobs down.
It sounds like what I'm hearing you say out there is that the way you grew your business so well was that you were looking for people's pain points and providing a solution to their problem.
Yeah.
Right. And so folks out there listening, that applies to every single business owner out there. Okay.
Yeah, no matter what business.
No matter what business you're in, your whole objective to close the deal for one of your clients is to find their pain, and provide a solution. You know what I mean? And when you build those relationships, like he said, when that phone rings, he knows his client better than the client knew themselves, right? He already knew what his people was calling him about. And the same concept applies across the board, whatever industry you're in. Understanding your target audience, your client, knowing where their pain is, and providing the solution seamlessly and effectively will automatically, organically grow your company by leaps and bounds. Is that fair to say?
Yes, sir.
So what are we talking about tonight, gents?
I'm taking notes.
Yeah, well,
notes.
So okay. So we've had guests on that are veterans, non-veterans. Like we just get people that bring value.
Mm-hmm.
We're all veterans in this room right now, and any veteran, no matter what branch of service, knows the term "embrace the suck," right? So that means grind through it, embrace the suck, keep pushing forward. You know, my favorite adage is suck it up, change your socks, drink some water, and push down the road, right?
Yeah.
But tonight what we want to talk about is what does embracing the suck mean to a business owner? And Casey, you have the notes pulled up?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, we got you right here.
So what we want to take is use the term embrace the suck, but I think tonight what we want to focus on is what does the word suck mean? It means the friction in your business or in your life. So if you can understand that there's going to be friction, and in your mindset, know that that friction is going to be there, and in your mindset, understand how you're going to react to that. That's kind of what we want to push on tonight. So what does embrace the suck mean to you as a business owner? That's the first question kind of we're going to throw out to the universe there. And feel free to like and comment and share all of this stuff. There's going to be somebody out there that needs to get something from this tonight.
Yeah.
And as long as we impact one life every night that we do this on a Wednesday, it's a win for us.
Yeah, we're winning. And I'm going to chime in on embrace that suck. I made a post the other day where my ass was just pretty much handed to me. I got going at 5 a.m. and I didn't get home till almost 9 o'clock that night.
Yeah.
Right. And when I realized it, and I kind of pulled it up so I could read it. So whenever you're having that, man, fuck, I want to quit attitude, everything's against me, the world's against me, I turned that around and flipped the script, right? That is a positive thing for me, that those thoughts are natural. Feeling tired and worn out is normal. Fighting through anxiety and self-doubt that's what makes us the badasses that we are today that's in this room, right? Because if we were just average ass people, whenever the world threw us a curveball, we would go back to the dugout. We're like, all right, we're done. We're not playing this game. He told me he was going to throw me a straight lob, and he's not. He lied to me, right? My job just got a little bit more difficult, and so I'm just going to throw in the towel. So that's what it really takes for me as a business owner, is to be able to look into the face of a day that was long, that was hard, that got my ass whooped, got home, the wife and kids were pissed off, the whole 9 yards, right? The whole day just nuclear bombed, you know?
Yeah.
And I could have just thrown
It
in the
sucked.
towel. It fucking sucked.
Met the definition, right?
Yes. So really, I took pride in the day kicking my ass, because oftentimes that means you made progress, you completed some goals that you were trying to get done, you owned the day, and all the day did was just fight back a little bit harder than it usually does, right?
Yeah.
And so whenever
You're gonna have those days.
you're gonna want those days, because that's what takes us from being a producer of income to a top producer of income. That's the difference between taking action and taking massive action.
Yeah.
Right. So whenever you get handed the ball and you look down, like we talk about Walter, right? So whenever they fucking hand old boy the ball and he sees 100 people running at him, he's heading straight on into that freaking chaos. So that's what I believe embracing the suck is about. Is how you're able to flip that coin and say, yeah, my day was shitty as hell, but what are my golden nuggets that I got from that shitty day?
Yeah. What I learned, right? So, we had touched on the other day, embracing the suck, and, in that last episode, but we talked about Walter Payton getting basically crushed somewhere between 7,500 and 9,000 times in his pro career.
Yeah.
In his pro career. Now, remember, he didn't start playing ball till he was a junior in high school, college, but then pros, got absolutely stomped somewhere between 7,000 and 9,000 times. And then, you got to get back up, pick up what's left of your uniform and your pride.
Yeah.
If you just had 11 motherfuckers just trounce you, right? And run another down, right? Or call, coach, I need to be out for a minute, but then go right back in.
Yeah.
And don't quit. So not quitting, right? Embrace the suck means to a business owner is exactly what Doc just said, not quitting. And there are going to be days where the world gets you, right? It gets the jump on you, and man, you're really going to feel like, what am I doing this for? I traded a career, right, for a job, right? Because when you're a solopreneur, like all of us were, right? You had a career and you traded it for a job that I don't know if anybody here is from farm country, but one reason that I know I'm not a farmer is because one, you work from sea to cant, right? That's dawn to dusk, sea to cant, and there's no days off because there's nobody to relieve you with farm chores. Nobody. And business owner, especially when you're a solo, that 1 to 5 years is a lot like that, like being a farmer, right? You're the guy who's you gotta prep all the fields, right? You gotta fix all the fences if you got livestock. You gotta make sure the damn dog didn't kill any of your fucking chickens. It's supposed to be guarding the sheep or the goats, right? And then you gotta get all the planting in, and you gotta do it before the rain or before the drought. And it's all this going, and there's no days off. If you don't milk the cows, right, their bladders get infected because you fucking slept in, right? And being a solopreneur is like that. And that means day after day after day, you just got to get up and hammer, right? And whether that's Sunday morning at 4 o'clock in the morning and you're doing all your own social media because you don't have the budget to outsource that, or it's, staying up late from kids go to bed at 9 and you do that 9 to 1 a.m. shift so you can get a few extra free throws, whatever that is, right? You just got to keep pressing.
JD, what does it mean to you as a business owner, like to embrace the suck in your business? What does that mean to you in your words?
I know it's kind of like the bio I sent you, and then y'all sent me what the topic was today, and I'm like, well, that kind of fits right in. It's, identifying, to me, embracing the suck is being able to identify what your strengths, but most importantly, your weaknesses are, where your failures are, how, don't be scared to go into something that is going to suck just because you think it's going to suck. I mean, you gotta hit it balls on. You just got to go at it. And it's all of us are vets. People that aren't vets can't comprehend, how we can physically do some of the stuff we do. But it's because, the human mind's been conditioned not to be able to do it. If it sucks, well, we'll just quit. We're not programmed for that, especially as vets. If it sucks, I'm going in even harder.
Yeah.
I'm going in full force. It's, I challenged Mike, and all three of you slackers didn't do a single push-up on the Mission 22 challenge because I threw the gauntlet down to the Patriot Business Alliance. Mike's like, challenge accepted. I didn't say y'all do 2,200 push-ups in the month of March, right?
Place.
He's making shit up. He's got old memory loss and stuff. Don't worry about it. Starts rambling and
You want me to
shit.
pull the text message up?
What I do like though is in your bio, you kind of said something that it rang the bell in my head. It said, quitting is not an option. Errors are unacceptable, yet you cannot be scared of failure. This is what teaches you how to win. Mistakes teach you. As long as you own your mistakes and your failures, that's when you learn. Identifying your weakness, this is how you become better at whatever you're doing in life. So tonight isn't really, we're focused on the business because we're a business mentor group here. We want to make the best we can out of business. But don't forget, guys, the personal successes, strengths, weaknesses, and failures play a big role in your business. And you got to get both sides of the house clean. I'm telling you, when I went through a time in my life where it was time to clean up my shit, I had someone tell me, you're not going to be able to fix everything and everybody, but if you keep your side of the street clean, and you know what I'm talking about, if you keep your side of the street clean, that puts you ahead of probably 98% of the people in this world.
Yeah.
So I thank you for putting those words in there, JD, were huge to me because I'm going through embracing the suck right now personally, in a good way though, because that's my mindset on it. And I think that's what you're saying is that embracing the suck to me in a business world or even a personal, that's a mindset shift, right? That to me, I don't look at embracing the suck as woe is me, why is it happening to me? Now fuck that, we don't play that game around here. my mindset changed. And I had to understand, okay, to embrace the suck, it's mental.
It is mental.
Right.
And it's more and I think it's more than mentality, right? It's being able to. So I like to play chess, and chess is a game that you have to think almost 5 steps ahead in order to beat your opponent.
Yeah, absolutely.
Being in business is the same concept. I consistently have to think 5 steps ahead, knowing this will go wrong, this will go wrong, this will go wrong, and then you have contingencies.
Yeah.
A lot of the same stuff that we learned in the military, yeah, we may have plan A, but I promise you, B through F is also there to fight, just because something will happen, right?
Yeah.
The law of average will turn around and punch us right in the
That's
junk, okay? Right in the junk.
There
That's
you
where
go.
we're going with it, this go around. And so,
Well, I mean, that's absolutely right. That's why all military, I don't know about tanks and shit, didn't have any of those, but military vessels, they had 2 of everything.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you have one and it fails, you have none.
Yeah.
So that's why you always have redundancy. That's why you always have a backup plan, a backup team, right? You must plan for these tripwires. What you said is so on point, JD, about quitting is not an option and failing is not an option, but you can't be afraid to do it. What you need to do, and this is where we love Jeff because he's the master planner, man. I mean, you want to talk about getting your shit in one sock. Jeff will help you do it. And that is something, especially as a young business owner, because when you're out there, you just started up, you've got a lease on a, one office spot, and you're starting to move your equipment in, whatever that equipment may look like, right? Could be laptops, could be tools, could be your heavy diesels, equipment, could be your engine hoist, whatever the fuck it is, right? You don't know how to get from point A to point B. To talk about what Mike was saying, the solving the problem for that, identify what it is you can solve and then come up with a plan to do it, right? So the how, that's really a lot of this is this paradigm shift you got to have. Go ahead, Jeff.
Well, so with that point right there, we'll just leave you with one question. Are you mentally prepared to embrace the suck? And when we say suck, we're talking about the friction that comes with life, what we like to call structured chaos, because we kind of live in a world right now where mediocrity
is accepted,
right? It's like, oh, it's okay if he's doing something half-assed. And, JD can probably tell us a little bit about this from training the SEAL teams, that mediocrity is not even an option with the elite. Give us a little bit of thought on that, JD.
Yeah, it's, and I put in my bio or my notes that I sent you all about me is, I probably changed more as an individual or as a man in my life, or what structured me of who I am now was when I started working with the teams. I was an E6, 13 years in, I go over SEAL Team 2, and it's all of a sudden, your reputation precedes you in that community, period. Especially as a technical guy. And the guys that I know, the guys that I remember, the guys that I looked around, I was stationed with Jocko. I mean, if you've ever seen this podcast, that dude's a beast. Rob O'Neill, he's the guy that pulled the trigger on UBL. I mean, I've gone to bars and had beers with them guys, and some just pipe-hitting dudes. And, I look at those guys and I'm like, why are people following and leading these guys? And why, when they come in, everybody's like, who's doing what? And it's, that environment, it's, you don't remember. I don't remember team guys that were just middle of the road. Just they made it through buds, but they weren't, anything. I've met guys and they walked in. I'm like, you're a team guy. Like they just didn't have the build, didn't look like it. You don't remember those guys. It's the dudes that are just, I was a comm guy. I came in to fix comm problems and to get them from 2 cups and a string kind of technology into new technology. And that's why they brought me there. That's why they took me out to teach at Coronado, was to get them from old technology to new technology. And the dudes just came in and they were sponges. Like they wanted to know. Like when I get up in front of a room of guys that teach, these are guys post buds, SQT, they graduate, they get their trident, they go to a team. You walk in, and as soon as you walk in, every one of them sitting there just like pen and paper, like they're asking questions. They're just balls in. They're in it, and they want to know everything they can to get better. and will dive into it. And they don't, they're guys that just weren't that bright. You had guys that weren't the brightest that just couldn't understand the technology, and they still were in there just pushing it, like, because they knew what it meant. Could be life and death for those guys down the road. And I probably learned more in that community from the guys that they're failure and quitting was not an option. There was a couple times when I first got there, I'm like, yeah, no, we can't do that. Sorry, boss, we can't do that. And they're like, no, we can do it. You just got to figure out how we're going to do it.
Yeah.
Okay. And luckily I have one of those brains that gears don't turn right, and it's pretty analytical, but I can, everybody always said, oh, look at it from it's a box. No problem's a box. It's a cube. It's got 6 sides. You need to look at it from the outside in and the inside out, because it's 2 different views, from the inside looking out and the outside looking in. And that's how I always approach stuff. So I just fit in that community of trying to figure out how to get shit done unconventionally. And
I like how
I learned that pretty quick. Like saying no was one thing, saying I can't was another. And I had executive officers and bosses that were just, yeah, no, that's not going to work. We got to figure out how to do this. Okay, well, let me go figure out how to do it. And if you do that a couple times, then people are like, okay, this dude knows what he's doing. He can get some shit done. And that's one of the reasons why I probably excelled in that community. As a technical guy, when I went to SQT, there's 30 instructors. I'm the only non-SEAL instructor in the room. And, hey, we're all going to go out and shoot this new gun or shoot this new rocket or go blow something up. Let's everybody go. And I'd be out there, and all of a sudden somebody would be like, hey, you're not qualified, and like, you don't have your demo quals. Yeah, well, sign me off, because I just blew up some shit, shooting a Carl Gustav. I thought it'd be cool until the first time I did it, and I thought I was on fire, and everybody's laughing, and like, cool, put another one in. Let me do it again. I want to catch on fire again, because that was fun. But, it's just, you deal with that. When I tell people, it was like traveling with a pro ball team. I mean, these guys are like pro baseball players or something. You got different sizes and shapes, but they're just elite level athletes, period. And, they don't quit. They push it. They know how far they can push their bodies because they've been through buds, and it's a kick in the jimmy 100 times a day for 7 months. That's the definition of buds. You're going to get kicked in the balls 100 times a day. You don't know when them 100 are coming, but you're going to get kicked 100 times every day for 7 months. Who's signing up for that? And it's just, working with that level of guys and watching them get broke down and built back up, and then see the drive they have. It's infectious. It changed me to where, hey, quitting's not an option. I'm not going to quit. If I have to get in a fight with somebody, they're going to have to knock me out or kill me. I'm too old for that shit nowadays. I'm going to try to knock you out or kill you myself, because I don't want to go because I'm old and fat. But, it's just that mentality of you're going to fail. We train for every worst possible scenario. Like, what could possibly go wrong? Like, kind of what Mike's saying is, hey, if we go into the scenario, what if there's a bad guy right there? What if this guy's there? Okay, how are we going to address it? Because we just lost 3 dudes, You train for every worst possible outcome, so when you go into the real thing, you've addressed everything before you got there, and hopefully it's a walk in the park. That's why most ops and missions, they go in, wham, boom, they're gone. Nobody knows what happened. Why? Because they've trained for every worst possible scenario there is, done their after action, learned from what they did wrong. Because like I said, my thing, you learn more from from doing stuff that's hard, that's difficult, than you do from winning. If you win every time, what do you learn? Oh, I'm the best. Nobody's gonna beat me. And then the first time you get beat, if you don't pick yourself up and figure out why you got beat, you're never gonna win again. And that's kind of my mentality.
No, I think that's great input, man. I want to throw something in right now, and I want us to look at our businesses in 2 different ways right now. And like you just said a minute ago, and I posted in here, look at your box, aka your business, is kind of what we're essentially saying, from the inside out and the outside in. Mm-hmm. So look at your business also as a 4-lane highway or a dirt road, right? The 4-lane highway is the easy way, right? Like JD's saying, you're never going to learn much if you just jump on and you're just rolling, right? But if you're on a dirt road with a shovel in your hand and you got things to get out of the way, the hard rocks, the tree stumps and all this. So, and this comes from David Goggins. I got this morning from listening to his book. think of your business that way. Do you want to just take the 4-lane highway to work every day? It becomes mundane. It becomes boring. There's no change to it, right? You sit in traffic, you turn on the bullshit radio, you listen to it, whatever. Or do you want to take the hard road, the school of hard knocks, the dirt road where you have to sometimes dig the tree roots out of the way? That to me builds character, builds resilience, and also builds a little bit of integrity because you're working every single day for what you're building. And to me, that's a solid foundation. What do you think?
Oh, it's huge. You know what I mean? Like, people don't go into business because it's easy.
Some people do.
Yeah, but they're used, those people that went into business to be for the easy road, typically get out of business within like 2 years and they're back working at fucking McDonald's.
Yeah. But there is a percentage of people who do that.
Absolutely. I didn't go into business because I knew it was going to be easy. I went into business because I knew it was going to be challenging, right? Like I love the challenge of the day-to-day grind that comes with it. Many people don't know. I've known JD, I don't know, going on 6 years? Give or take?
2012, I think.
Yeah, long time.
So, 9 years.
Jeez, you're old as hell, JD. That makes me even older too. Good. So, and anyway, he comes in, he's like, Mike, I want to learn how to do this drug testing company like you. And I'm like, whoa, JD, you're out in the middle of fucking BFE.
Yeah.
Who's going to drug test? We already know they're on crack, right? You already know they're all smoking meth out there, right? But this man said, no, I can do it. I can embrace it. I'm going to fucking be the #1 freaking piss slinger out here.
Yeah.
Right? Now, that's a huge commitment, knowing that his demographics was hard. I did the same thing. I knew nothing about the industry, but I said, you know what? It's better than going in and punching the clock every single day.
Absolutely.
And being told how to do it, when to do it. I already did all that shit in the military.
And even before that.
And even,
maybe some of them did. Not us. We were right after, but.
And that's what I did.
We chose. What's that?
I said, and that's how, like, I'm glad you brought that up, because when I was telling you earlier, like, I was in college and I decided I didn't want to go corporate.
Right.
I talked to my buddy and found out what office politics were like. I'm like, I was an old school Navy chief. Like, I'm going to be in a boardroom, somebody's going to piss me off, lie, throw me under the bus like the office politics that he dealt with at Microsoft. And I'm going to reach over, grab a dude's tie and bounce his head off the desk and be like, now you want to tell everybody what really happened, right? And so I came to Mike and I looked at businesses, found that was the niche for me in my area. It was doable, that I didn't have competition really to speak of. And it was a good business model. And I came to Mike and, it was 90, 100 grand for a franchise. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm in Paris. I ain't got that kind of coinage. I ain't ballers like y'all down in the Metroplex. So I went down and picked Mike's brain and started my business from the ground up. I wrote everything, did everything, and had to learn the hard way. And it took me longer to do that. But by the time I started my business, I was way ahead of the power curve, because now I had the knowledge base. I knew everything about my business because I did it from the ground up. And then, Mike and we talked over the years. We worked on some jobs. He called me a couple times like, hey, how am I going to land this deal? Oh, this is how you hook it. Because I had a different purview look at it than he did, because I started from a different place.
What I'm hearing from that is we preach about the network. We preach about the alliance, and that's why this is called the alliance. That just kind of solidifies our point. The fact that how far away is Paris?
Hour and a half, 2 hours?
About an hour and 40 down to the birthday party.
So let's call it 2 hours by the time you stop and get a hot cup of coffee, right? That lets you know that your alliance doesn't necessarily have to be right down the road from one another. Your alliance can be people that you look up to and you trust. That's the point of an alliance. Yeah. I love to hear that. That's phenomenal, man.
And you hit the nail on the head when he said, when I hit a hiccup, he was able to look at my business from the outside perspective.
Yeah.
Hey man, I'm hitting this barrier. What am I doing wrong here? Why aren't these people closing? And he comes in, I talk to him, he's like, bro, go through the other freaking door that's wide open.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the same concept applied when he was landing these larger clients out in Louisiana. Remember we went to freaking Louisiana? What was it, like 1,000 people? It was ridiculous how we were able to, because that sucked. That fucking sucked, friend. And we...
I'm assuming you did a drug test out there?
1,000 people. And it was just ridiculous.
That's a lot of piss.
And it was a long day. But the risk and the reward and the reason we did it was because we love that challenge. He's like, Mike, how are we going to do 1,000 people in one shot in 2 days? I was like, okay, let's figure this out. We did the numbers, we pushed it, we went out, we did it, and we crushed it.
Nice.
So I love the analogy you use. Instead of it looking like a square is no longer a 4-sided object. It is 8, right?
Yeah.
It is 3-dimensional, 6-dimensional, 12-dimensional. However many dimensions you want, it's your drafting game.
Yeah. So I guess, a question for Casey here is, and this is really a question for the audience and those who like, share, and follow and all this stuff is, think about something tough that you have to deal with. No matter the size of that pain in the ass, large or small, on a regular basis, right? That could be the morning emails. That could be the afternoon walkthroughs. Whatever it is in your business, think about it and how that negatively impacts your life and your business. And go for it and do that first. I did a walkthrough this morning. I laid my technician out on a project site, and he immediately went to the easy tasks. And I said, no, pump the brakes, homeboy. It's 08. Hit the hard stuff now. Hit the hard stuff now. Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, I'm a huge believer in. There's a couple things JD touched on and you just touched on.
Yeah, floor's yours, brother.
But the big one is that we all learn from the military and that we're all trying to impart into our alliance is that you must practice, right?
Mm-hmm.
You must drill, practice, rehearse. And it doesn't matter if you weren't in the military, because if you've ever stood on a sideline, right, you know that you win or lose that battle, right? That mission, that game, you win or lose that before you ever get to the sideline. Right, it's all done in your planning, in your practice,
Preparation.
right? All your preps, right? Which include, boom, you just hit a major roadblock, right? You're going down the road, you're hitting rocks, you're digging up roots, you got to reroute, and so drill, practice, rehearse, tackling your biggest projects first. One of the things that I have to do on a regular basis that is hard to do on a regular basis is be persuasive.
Oh,
right? You got to be persuasive, and you've got to be more persuasive than this guy, right? This is your opponent, right? And it truly is. You're stepping into a ring, right? And it's just like boxing. You want to be landing more than you take. You want to be standing when the fucking bell rings, and you want to win by decision.
Yeah.
Right? And that all happens before you fucking lift the ropes. All of that happens before you lift the ropes. And you do that, if you're lucky, you do that every day, sometimes twice in a day or more, or for 2 or 3 days in a row. Opening statement, argument, battle of the experts, closing statement, right? These things happen over and over and over. And the only way you can do them is tackle the big things first and drill, practice, rehearse. So things that JD and Jeff talked about. And business, your business alliance, these are people who can help you, man. Get on a fucking Zoom, get on a phone call with Doc, right? Just talk through, Jeff and I talk through things, right? Chad Jackman and I were doing a drill, practice, rehearse on some techniques the other day that didn't have anything to do with his business or my business, and have anything to do with the law, and have anything to do with anything. We're just part of the same alliance. And it's like, hey, this is a technique for follow-up with clients that works for me. Maybe it should work for you. Let's drill it.
So here's something I want to land on you guys and the audience right now is all of the things that suck, all of the friction that we have. If you would believe this or not, the barrier is in your mind. Would you agree with that?
99%.
Right? There are the physical attributes, right? And we get that. But here's what we want you guys to do is think about that negative thing, that thing you hate to do the most, that one task a day, no matter how large or small it may be, and stop, pump the brakes, and tell yourself this is a mindset thing, and to shift your mindset. If you can learn to shift your mindset, then it's not always a lose, it's a learn, like we always say.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's mindset.
What I love about the word friction, what happens when you have too much friction?
It gets hot.
It gets hot. You catch on fire,
Yeah.
right? And I love catching on fire because when you're on fire, you're focused. You become hyper focused on what you're trying to accomplish.
Absolutely.
Right? When you get punched in the jaw, that wakes your ass up. Nobody, what does Mike Tyson say? Nobody prepares you to get punched in the mouth until you get punched in the mouth.
Everybody has a plan, right?
Everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth. Right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so with that, we need that friction in business. We need those hurdles. We need those hiccups because otherwise we begin to rest on our laurels. And what happens when we rest on the laurels? We become complacent. And we already knows what happens when we become complacent. We fucking die.
Yeah.
Right? So we need that friction to fire our asses up to do better the next day, to keep on track of what our end result's supposed to be.
Well, the end result is greatness, right?
Absolutely.
So here's a quote from David Goggins, and I'll hand this one over to you, JD, because you actually kind of know the guy. So he says, greatness is not something you meet once. It's something you meet thousands of fucking times in your life. And you won't reach it if you're not constant. In constant pursuit of fucking greatness. And that's word for word because I wrote that down because I thought that was impactful.
Yes.
The fact that if you're not in constant pursuit every single day of greatness, you'll never reach it. What do you think, JD?
David Goggins is like a beast. I mean, the dude's just, he is just one of those complete studs. The dude is just unbelievable. I think I saw a thing after I was looking at his video. People were making comments about him, and like I said, I was telling you before the show started, he was in the first SQT class that I picked up when I started qualifying to be an instructor there at SQT. And I don't really remember him. I just remember a couple of guys, some of the redneck guys in the class. But I've seen some of his stuff over the years. I got mutual friends with him, know the same people. Probably seen him around the events, just didn't know him. It's that mindset is what has made him the guy is just, he's at a different level than 99.99%. If you watch the video and looked at some of the comments, the two that stuck out to me the most were David Goggins has a diary. It's called the Guinness Book of World Records. And then the other one was David Goggins wears sunglasses to protect the sun from his eyes. And I'm like, because if you see that dude, his stare,
right there.
like that dude, when like the pictures and stuff, you see his glare is just, you look at the dude, you can just see the intensity in the guy.
It's determination.
Oh my God, the guy's crazy. I saw a podcast with him and Joe Rogan, the guy that owns the Atlanta Hawks or something. Have y'all seen that video?
No.
The guy met Goggins at an Ironman in like 2007, went to him after like, hey, how do you train? Like, you're a beast. I want to learn how you do it. And the guy's like a billionaire, right? And he's like, man, why don't you come to my house and show you how to do it? And Dave Goggins like, yeah, I got nothing to do. I'll come live with you for a month. And he's like, wait, what? He went and lived at the dude's house for a month, like stayed at his house. His wife's like, hey, baby, remember that guy I met? Yeah, he's going to stay with us for a month. And they're like, what? Like waking him up in the middle of the night, like tap, tap, tap. Get up, motherfucker. What?
Yeah.
We're going to go train. He's like, what? And his whole concept behind the guy I was talking about is breaking your norm, breaking your routine, not doing, you get monotonous in your day. I do it. Jeff, you were talking, what's your takeaway is, working on your time management from watching some of y'all's podcasts before. I started reevaluating some of my some of my time frame, listening to y'all and y'all's input from previous episodes. And, I come in every morning, I check my email, do what I do, and then I start working. I'll set an hour appointment for a new client. They come in and they might be here for 2 hours, leave, and then I'm like, what just happened? Like, that was 2 hours. Or I'll set a 2-hour appointment for a client, and they're here 3.5, and I'm like, my brain is fried because what I'm doing is super technical stuff, technical drawing stuff.
Yeah.
And I'll leave and I'll get home at night and I'm like, I was supposed to work on something else and I lost an hour and a half because the client was here too long. So I feel like I have to do that night to make up for the time I lost. And I'm starting to get myself out of that. I hired a guy that's drafting for me. It's hard to find people in this community that can draw right and have enough aptitude to retain what I tell them, a week later.
Hey, that ain't just in Paris, brother.
No,
that is the state of our world.
Yeah.
I
So
don't know what's in the water, but fuck, somebody purify.
I got a solid kid that's working for me, and I've already told him. I said, hey, if this is a road you want to go down, these are the hurdles you need to get over to get there. And if this is where you want to go, one day you'll be sitting in this seat and you'll own this thing, because my goal is to franchise and go to a different route. And, you know, and in my bio, I put, you know, I want to go into a veteran franchise system and market to vets, you know, because I didn't have that getting out. And, you know, I didn't have that mentor when I first got out, like, hey, what are you going to do? You know, we all go through TAPS or whatever, your separation school. And I'm like, yeah, what do I want to do? I just knew I joined the Navy to get college money. So I was like, I'm going back to college. I set a personal goal to get to college. So when I retired, I went back to college full time. I finished my whole bachelor's in 2 years. I mean, I killed myself doing it, but I did it. And
yeah, you embraced the suck and you pushed through, right?
oh, it sucked. I mean,
Yeah,
I would get about 4 hours of sleep a night because I had 2 daughters. You know, I'd have to get up to get them ready, take them to school, then go study, go to class for 8, 9 hours, come home, pick them up, take them home, get them ready, and then sit down and do homework at 9 at night till 1 or 2 in the morning, go to bed, get up. So I did that for 2 years. And, you know, and the reward side of this, and this is what people need to hear too, is like we're talking about the gravel dirt road, the shovel, or the 4-lane. Every one of us eventually wants to be on the Autobahn. I don't want to be on the 4-lane. I want to be in a Lambo or a McLaren on the Autobahn going like 215, like just having a ball. But you have to go through the suck and you know, to get there. And to really excel, I mean, if you look at all these great people we've talked about, they went through hard times, and they went through suck to get where they're at, and that's why they're so damn good, is because they embraced it and they hit it head on, and they got back up every time they got knocked down, and like, this is not going to defy me. I'm going to beat it, and that's kind of the same route that I'm looking at, is, you know, with this kid that I'm trying to mentor now, or, you know, when Mike and I talk about stuff, it's, you know, hey, how do we get better? Because eventually we all want to be on that 4-lane road. And then once we get on that 4-lane road, we'll chill for a while. And then all of a sudden, every one of us will probably be like, all right, I got to go find something else to do.
Well, I think getting on that 4-lane road, I think getting on that 4-lane road, to me, what it means to me is, now I'm, like you just said, I'm going to pull somebody with me. I want to train somebody. I want to mentor somebody else. And that's kind of the basis of what this whole program is about, is, hey, we're at a point where we've leveled up as business owners. Now it's time to grab some young buck and say, hey, this is how we did it, right? Mm-hmm. Skip the bullshit that we already went through and try this.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot to be said by starting out on a gravel road.
Yeah.
Okay. If you start out on a gravel road and you land on that Autobahn, you're going to appreciate that Autobahn just a little bit more.
And you got a lot tougher feet, that's for sure.
You know what I mean? Like, you know what you need to be on. So, do we want to share our failures and mistakes with the people that are brand new into the industry? Absolutely. But do I want to rub their nose in some failures and some shit like that? Because that's going to freaking make them that much more, that's what more resilient. That's what builds character. New appreciation for success, right? Because if it just gets handed to me on a silver platter and shit hits the fan, it's like, whatever. I didn't sacrifice anything to get this success.
Well, and I think what you're saying is, if you focus on only your strengths, there's no growth there, right? You'll lose if you're only focusing on your strengths, right, Casey? You got to focus on the weaknesses, because that's where you're learning to grow.
Yeah, and that's, you know, taken away from what JD said, what Doc said, what you said. Look, man, you know where you're strong, right? When I'm getting ready for a big fight, I know where I'm going to drop the punch bombs, right? I know, right? So then the challenge becomes, where are you soft, right? Where you know, because where you're soft, and look, I'm going to tell you a couple things, because I know from experience, crashing on dirt roads hurts a hell of a lot less than crashing on a fucking Autobahn. For one thing, you're not going to be going over 100 miles an hour.
There's no give on
that. Right, there's no give at 100 miles an hour. But if you're in some loose gravel and, you know, even on some Alaska river rock, that shit don't hurt nearly as bad.
Skid's a little bit better.
But what I'm getting at, though, is that you know where you're strong, and you got to start focusing. And that's what Goggins is talking about. It's what JD is talking about, is where are you weak and where can you tune up, right? If you know that there's an area where you're not a master, then you better start working on it. You really better start. You better, like Doc makes investments, Jeff makes investments, JD, I'm sure, makes investments into, right? If you had $100, right, just to blow on anything, I bet you that these three people in this broadcast would invest it in themselves, in some sort of education, right? Or, I mean, yes, it's a lot of fun to spend half of it on cigars and beer and then piss the other half away, but it's a lot more worthwhile to make that investment into, if there's a new piece of technology coming out for your drug testing, drug recognition, right?
Yeah.
You're like, man, I need to get that information, so I'm going to trade this $100 and invest in that education. Jeff knew that there was a new piece of technology, these remote shades. Like, we live in a hot, sunny ass place, right? And you got windows up high, all these houses, right? He could have spent that money probably on a Lambo, but instead he invested in education for how to become a certified installer and
we're
dealer.
crushing it, bro. We're crushing it, man.
Right. Like, if you're an industry leader, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Lambo, a fun night out with the boys, right? We could have gone to Choctaw, but instead I took that money and I invested. I doubled down on myself, on my business.
Yeah.
Right. So
and that's another part of embracing the suck, right? Making all that money and not blowing it. Because I can't tell you how tempting it is where you do finally start to make capital gains and you're really wanting to get that upgrade on the new 2500 Chevy HD Denali, which I'm still looking for out there. If you guys are listening, I'm fucking gone. I can't find one. Right. But it's hard, right? You're stacking money, you're making success.
Yeah.
And the next thing you know, you're trying to go wherever and you blow it, right? But the real true discipline is staying the course and keep your vision in mind. Like, I am a visionary where I like to think 10 years ahead. But if I'm blowing my 10-year money on year 2, my 10-year ahead is going to be super sad.
That's it, man.
You know what I mean? So we have to be able to embrace being frugal in the beginning.
Yeah, and you got to be thinking big.
Yeah.
Right. You still got to act broke. I love that.
Yeah. I keep a broke mentality.
I mean, and I'm not talking about,
Yeah.
How about that? Hey, Mesquite, where you at? Where you at out there, Mesquite?
Hey, so let's tie this in real quick because we're coming to the top of the hour. So here's some things we want to do when we're embracing the suck and we're understanding that friction is a real true tool for us, right? We want to first manage our expectations. Our own personal management of our expectations is critical. We want to talk to ourselves and look at yourself deeply in the mirror and decide, are you wanting the easy route or the tough road? Because there's pros and cons to both, right? Me, I like the gravel road. So manage your expectations, decide what path you would like to take, and then finally, remove the barriers in your mind. Those are the 3 main takeaways, because I guarantee you talk to any team guy, you talk to any military veteran, whatever branch it may be, they're going to tell you that your body will go 10 times farther than your mind will ever think it will take.
That's
right.
So
Yeah.
Take those with you. Hey, JD, brother, we appreciate
Thanks,
you
JD.
for joining us tonight, man. You got any saved rounds?
What's that?
You got any saved rounds? You want to fire off anything last minute here?
No, I just appreciate y'all, thanks. It was nice meeting you guys face to face for the first time a couple of weeks ago, at Mike's old ass birthday party. And
Mike y'all don't know, Mike turned 60 a couple days ago.
Couple days, 2, as a matter of
Mike,
fact. 2 days.
Mike and I go back, so it was good to hook up. It was worth it. Like you said, this whole business alliance, it's not about me, it's about everybody.
Well, hey, brother.
Hey, we can't thank you enough, JD.
Hey, JD, thank you, man. It's amazing.
So,
Hey, y'all have a good night. Appreciate it, guys.
all right, brother,
JD.
go ahead and sign off. And we got a couple things real quick to talk about as just a PBA. JD, thanks, brother. Appreciate you very much, my man.
Peace out, brothers.
Later.
All right, so here's what we want to talk about real quick, and the thing that we have going on this.
I'm gonna pull it down. I'm just gonna get a
pull it
little
down,
closer
get a
to the
little bit
camera.
closer. So here's the long story short. Y'all know what we do and who we love and the people that we promote. But Clay's for Casa is coming up August 28th at the Texas Gun Club. We have started to build a support team around them from the Patriot Business Alliance. I just sat in on the board meeting. I'm not even a board meeting, but I was there the other day, which is cool. We need some help from the community here. And if you don't know what CASA is, reach out to us. That's a whole nother discussion on what the Lone Star CASA program is about, but we're all involved with it. Mr. Ashmore's wife is the president this year.
Yeah.
So the long story short is a team. So just give you a couple of things right here. We're looking for sponsors for the event, looking for some raffle items, which could be anything. Like I'm going to give away a home automation package, and I'm going to put that up for raffle. I think that's a kick-ass thing somebody would really want. You know what I'm saying? We got some people that are donating some other things and things like that. Teams, $1,000 a team. That is not uncommon for any clay shoot, so don't let that $1,000 scare you because really it's $250 and it's going to the kids. So we need teams, we need sponsors, and we need some people that.
Yeah, and that's if things go according to Hoyle, I believe that's going to cover everything like your food, your ammo, your golf cart.
The whole 9 yards.
Right. So it's not like you're going to be like, slunking around.
Now here's the deal: that $1,000 covers a golf cart for your team, all your shells. And then the food, the drinks, and the fellowship.
A little swag bag, something like that.
A little swag bag. So really, it's a show up with your firearm and play games, boys and girls. So, and if you're 18 or under, you just need a parent's consent. I'm gonna bring the devil pup like I always do every year. Sign off on it saying he's not a knucklehead. He can shoot good.
Yeah.
Actually shoots fucking better than I do, but whatever. But just wanted to bring that to your attention. This is what we got going on. Hit us up. Let us know if you're interested in that. Don't feel like this is something we're bringing up to make you feel bad or put you on blast.
No.
But hey.
Yeah, and real quick, I mean, Lone Star CASA, if you don't know, ask somebody. But just these are volunteers. They're court-appointed special advocates. They are helping our most at-risk kids, which last year we had over 135, if I'm remembering the numbers right, which is a lot when you think that people were trapped at home for about 90 to 120
And that was
days.
only half of the cases because they couldn't get to half.
They couldn't get to half of the cases. So a lot of times these advocates who help these kids, they speak for them in these court cases where children are being taken away from parents in dangerous environments, and they have nobody to advocate for them. And that's where CASA comes in. And so what we do here does more impact for good for children in our community and there's a lot of great charities in Rye. It's a place with a servant's heart, but this is truly one of the gifts that we feel like we can give back to. So that's why we're asking you to lean in and support CASA.
Just come out, have a good time, aim to end child abuse. I myself was one of those children way back in the day when nobody gave a shit about kids' rights. Today we have an opportunity to be the voice for those kids and come out and blow some shit up. I'm telling you what, it's fun. Trust me, you do not have to shoot good. Okay, you know why? Because I don't shoot good. Okay, but it is a lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun.
Okay, it's a lot of fun, a lot of cutting up, a lot of camaraderie, and at the end result is that we get to save a kid from PTSD. We get to save a kid and put them into a better situation than what they are before. PBA doesn't really go out and support a lot of businesses out there, but all three of us here, this particular organization, we'll fucking get behind every day of the week. Okay, so we won't ever ask our people for money or anything unless we are actually putting in the same amount of stuff that we're asking you for. So know that this isn't no daggone sales pitch.
No.
This is something that we all three believe in. If you want to be in, be in. If you don't, you don't.
Quick little story here. So you guys saw me pushing the Facebook stuff for Caden's band fundraiser. Whatever.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of the folks, you know, the network and the relationships we have, ponied up. He's got like over 2K.
Yeah, you probably blew out of the water.
I got a message from somebody randomly the other day and said, "Hey man, I never donate to these until I look and see who donates. And if the guy or gal who's asking didn't donate, I don't donate to it." He's like, "I'm impressed that you lead by example." I threw $1,000 in the pot before I asked anybody.
Right.
So that's what he's saying is that we come correct. Like we're not asking you for your money unless we're putting money into it. So other than that, we just wanted to spend a couple minutes talking about Lone Star like we always do because we love all the volunteers over there and do what they do. Any other safe rounds before we get ready for $10,000 Thursday tomorrow?
$10,000 Thursday. If you ain't getting it, you better fucking get right and go find some suck to embrace.
That's it. Embrace the friction. That's where the growth is.
See you guys next week.
Peace out.
You want some of those too?